Hi, it's Danielle. This is my perfume journal where I document my love of perfume. So, I just returned from vacation, and one of my favorite things to do when I travel is visit department stores and shops, and of course, the wonderful perfume playground that is duty free. I love to be able to freely try perfumes that I cannot find at home without actually having to order a sample. It is such a treat to be able to walk into a store and just sniff to my heart's content. So I thought I would share my first impressions of these perfumes. And full disclosure, these are all just first impressions only. I have not worn any of these perfumes properly to really get to know them, but I did get enough of a feel for the perfumes I'm going to talk about to figure out if I would like to further explore them and actually give them a full wear. So we will start out at Laboratorio Olfattivo. I was really excited to try the new collection by Jean-Claude Ellena called Fioriture. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Jean-Claude Ellena did another line for Laboratorio Olfattivo called Viaggio in Italia, and all of the perfumes in that line are focused on Mediterranean citrus notes. There's a bergamot, there's a mandarin, a lemon, a grapefruit, and my favorite, a blood orange. So this time around, Jean-Claude Ellena and Laboratorio Olfattivo have collaborated on a trio of floral fragrances. They have really simple note structures, so they really showcase the flower itself. So first up, I smelled Jasminade, which is jasmine, orange blossom, musk. And in this perfume, I found the jasmine to be warm, but not indolic. In fact, when we were on this vacation, there was jasmine in bloom everywhere, like walls of jasmine. And the scent was so intoxicating. Like during the day, it smelled kind of fresh and dewy, but then at night, it became like more mysterious and heady. And to me, Jasminade is the perfect balance of what I smelled in the natural jasmine growing everywhere in May. And then the orange blossom in this perfume adds that extra bit of like green freshness without overpowering the natural headiness of the jasmine itself. So then in the collection, there's a really nice green rose scent. It's called Rose Me Twice. This is a fruity rose with a lot of greenery. The fruit is red currant, so it's a little bit pungent and tangy without going all the way sour. It still retains a bit of sweetness, but then the green notes make this sort of light and fresh, a very springy rose. The description of this perfume also includes violet ionones as part of the structure of the composition, but that makes me think of a lipsticky rose, and I did not find this to be lipsticky at all. I thought this was like a fresh garden rose through and through. And finally, the gem of this trio, in my opinion, is Incarnation. Isn't that a fun name, Incarnation? Anyway, this is Carnation, Rose, and Vanilla. And I'm actually kind of regretting that I didn't get this one. So on the Laboratorio Olfattivo website, there is a fascinating tidbit of information that eugenol, which is the material that's used to create that like clovey aspect that we associate with carnation flowers, eugenol can actually transform into vanillin through a process called chemisynthesis. Of course, I had to go down that rabbit hole because I did not take organic chemistry, but I did figure out that chemisynthesis is a process where like one compound or one element can turn into another. In this case, we have eugenol into vanillin. So basically, we're talking about a specific vanillin in this perfume that is actually derived from eugenol, which is the material that gives the impression of carnation. So it's all very complementary, symbiotic kind of things going on. And I think that that totally comes through in the scent. It's very balanced. It's not too sweet. It's not too spicy. It's very Goldilocks, just right. And I think that Incarnation is a wonderful take on a very underrated floral. So next we're heading over to Santa Maria Novella, and that is where I sampled pretty much everything I could get my nose on. Santa Maria Novella uses this really beautiful cloche method for sampling. All of the perfumes are sprayed either onto paper under a glass cloche or into this like porous cone-shaped stone cloche. And so all you have to do is lift it up and enjoy the scent. I actually really love this method of sampling. Houbigant does this as well on their counter displays, and I like it because I feel like you get a really nice impression of the scent and its sillage through this method because the perfumes have been sitting under this glass or stone cloche for a while. And so you really get a sense of what it might smell like in the air. And then, of course, if you want to experience the opening, you can blotter spray as well. So this time around at Santa Maria Novella, a few perfumes caught my attention that I hadn't really paid attention to before. One was Alba de Seoul, a really, really interesting, unusual blend of like fresh, woody, and spicy. So my nose caught lavender, caught nutmeg, a floral that I later found out was jasmine, and then there was like a very spicy, woody aura surrounding it all. I also found myself very, very drawn to Cinquanta on this visit, and this is a sweet green floral. This felt sunny and optimistic and fresh, but in an antique way, if that makes any sense. It felt like old-fashioned happiness. And there are some tropical florals in this. There's tiare, there's gardenia, there's green tea. That gives it a freshness. And then there's a little bit of amber to warm it all up and make it feel kind of sun-kissed. I really enjoyed smelling this one. And then I could not stop myself from lingering around the gorgeous Larice. This is a perfume that is a departure from my usual love of like very powdery, rooty irises. This is much greener. There's an earthiness to this. It almost smells mossy. And then there's just this little teeny tiny hint of creaminess, maybe coming from the champaca note, and a little hit of spice. It is perfectly Santa Maria Novella to me. It smells like a whole entire iris that has been plucked out of the earth in spring. It feels peaceful. It feels serene. It feels delicate, but it also feels strong like the stem of the iris. It's just wonderful, and it comes in the most beautiful bottle. So then I hovered around all of the shelves at the big department store and some of the smaller perfume shops, and I was absolutely in heaven smelling all kinds of perfumes that I had been wanting to try for some time. So I finally had a chance to try two perfumes from room 1015 that I have seen heavily, heavily featured on socials. I tried Love-O-Matic. Love-O-Matic most definitely smells like a piece of chewing gum that got stuck in a pocket and went through the washer and dryer. That is exactly what it gave me on the blotter. It was so much fun to smell, and I really enjoyed getting to try that one. Jasmine Freak is a freaky jasmine. It is a big, fat fruit salad of a perfume with big indolic jasmine blooms scattered all among the fruits. And since I was only blotter testing this one, I can't say that I could pick out any particular fruits. Like, for example, there's mango in the note list, which is usually a pretty recognizable fruit, but it all just kind of smelled vaguely fruity to me. But the jasmine, that was an unmistakable note, and it was huge. So it had been a while since I've smelled Byredo Blanche, and as my nose has been leaning into clean scents lately, I thought I would give this one a spritz. This is so good. It is clean laundry and sparkling aldehydes. I get the feeling of like soft, clean towels as if they have been hung on a laundry line in the sun and then dried in the dryer to fluff them up. It is such a great perfume. This is a perfume I would love to have like a 10 ml decant of. I got to smell the latest release in Sonia Constant's line, Ella K. It's Myrrh K. So at first sniff, I really like this. It felt like a warm, sweet myrrh perfume with some lush florals and a halva note. This has jasmine, it has frangipani, it has sesame and almond, it has dates and sugar, and then myrrh and tonka and vanilla. So it smelled great on the blotter at first sniff. It smelled warm and enveloping, and the perfumer uses the word indulgent to describe it, and I think that is the perfect word for it. I really do appreciate the homage that Sonia Constant pays to the scents and the flavors of the places that she travels to, in this case, Oman. And when it comes to perfumery, I really, really love the intersection of scent and place. It is one of my favorite things about being a perfume enthusiast. Closing your eyes, inhaling, and imagining yourself transported to a place you've been or maybe a place you would like to go one day. Moving on to Amouage, I smelled quite a few Amouages. Some were resmells for me, some were new. I really wanted to try Existence. I hadn't tried that before. So again, only first impressions, but this one definitely piqued my interest to try again and maybe get a sample of. Man, remember the days when perfume counters like freely gave out samples? I miss that. I feel now like there are so many releases that samples are harder to come by. It used to be back in my day when there were fewer releases that the gift of a sample at a perfume counter had a much higher rate of possible return on a purchase. But now it feels like you go to a store and the associates are like clamoring to spray you or hand you a blotter before you move on to the next bajillion perfumes that are lined up everywhere. I just like to wax nostalgic about the days where you go to a Macy's and they'd hand you a perfume sample without asking. So back to Existence. This was really interesting. Lily of the Valley and incense is what I mostly got from this. And I really wonder now how this one would dry down on skin. One, because it has, as I learned, this captive ingredient called mystical. It's a woody amber, which to me screams tarry aroma chemical when I read the description about it. Also, this is a Canton Beach perfume. I do struggle with some of his more contemporary creations, but my first sniff of this was, Lily of the Valley and incense? Interesting. I like this. I think I would like to try it again. But the new Love Hibiscus, on the other hand, was a massive fail for me. This one was all over the place. It felt disjointed. It was super overwhelming. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Hibiscus Mahajad by Crivelli, but Love Hibiscus smells sweeter and less leathery to me. Now, this is totally personal preference. I think that this perfume could appeal to noses that appreciate and look for strength and longevity, perfumes that make a statement. Love Hibiscus is definitely that. It is a big, huge, fruity floral done Amouage style. Not for me, but I can imagine that this would be enjoyed by others. So then I smelled a couple of older creations from Amouage. I went with Dia Woman and Epic Woman. I loved Dia Woman. I don't know how that one escaped me for so long. Like, if I did not already have Melograno by Santa Maria Novella, I would be buying this one in a heartbeat. It is soapy, clean elegance. There are some aromatics in there and a little bit of woodiness. Where Melograno goes soapy mossy, this one goes soapy woody. It's complex, but it's not heavy-handed. It is just a beautiful creation by Jean-Claude Ellena, and so no wonder I loved it, and I have overlooked this one for far too long. Then I smelled Epic Woman, and that was also gorgeous. That is a big, spicy, smoky rose. Elegant, timeless, classic. Early 2000s Amouage was really something special. To me, that was like the height of the brand, so I really enjoyed smelling Epic Woman. So I have seen this brand, Ānti, absolutely everywhere. So the story behind this brand is that they approach fragrance as a kind of like an archaeological dig. That fragrance tells the stories of history all the way back from like the first perfumes of ancient Egypt to modern scents that tell the stories of today. So you have perfumes called Kleopatra that reimagine ancient rituals with like almond milk and cinnamon and tuberose and sandalwood. And then you have a perfume called Duke's Carpet, which is like a James Bond martini that's shaken, not stirred, at the famous Duke's Bar in London. So I found this line and every single perfume in it to be unique and really well crafted by some of the best perfumers. I was drawn to one called Nashi Toro. This is a Japanese-inspired perfume with notes of hinoki and bran and iris and ambrette. I was drawn to the Pompeii-inspired scent that has notes of rose and olive oil. I think that one was called Rose Antiqua. So overall, I did not feel like a quick blotter test of these was enough. So I do think that I would end up ordering a sample set of these perfumes. I can tell from the blotter tests that some of these are not going to be for me, but there are definitely a number of perfumes in this line that I would like to spend more time with. So overall, a great first impression of the house Ānti. And then everywhere I turned, there seemed to be a big display of the new Orpheon EDT from Diptyque. So up until this year, you could only get the Olivier Pechot original creation in an EDP format, but recently Diptyque has released it in an EDT. So the original Orpheon is a tribute to the jazz club in Paris where the founders of Diptyque would meet to be like all bohemian and stuff. And so in true Diptyque style, they have taken this story and edited it just slightly to suit the vibe of the EDT. So the EDP takes us into like the later hours of the night, like you're hunched in a wooden booth on your third gin martini, and there are dregs of like chain smoked tobacco scattered all over the table, and you're talking art and politics. It's all very deep. And then the EDT feels more like the early hours of the evening when the mood is lighter, everybody's kind of having small talk, the air is probably a little bit cleaner in the club, the citrus fruits are still being cut by the bartenders for garnish, and we're just pouring out the first set of drinks. It is fantastic. It is a brighter, lighter version of the original Woody Floral, and I loved it. I was excited to try Velvet Iris by the wonderful Dominique Ropion for Essential Parfum. This is a brand I generally enjoy very much. They have like stripped back all the marketing and the packaging and focused their investment into really good ingredients and hiring great perfumers. But in the end, this one just didn't work for me. I found it to be too leathery of an iris for my taste. It almost verged on bitter, so that one was a pass. I gave a quick sniff to Aerin's Lilac Path. I love lilac perfumes. I love En Passant from Frederic Malle. I love A Drop d'Issey. I love the Gucci Guilty Love edition for a deeper take on lilac. And I really love and regret decluttering the lovely affordable French lilac from Pacifica. Lilacs to me are like one of the most beautifully fragrant flowers nature has to offer. And this Lilac Path, is lovely. It is fresh, it is green, it is dewy, spring-like. It smells actually kind of quite a bit like the Lilac Enfleurage moisturizer I made with the blossoms out of my own yard. And my only issue with Aerin perfumes is the price. If I found this one on a secondhand market, let's say like a mid to low partial at a really good price, sign me up. Speaking of pricey scents, I gave Le Col Noir from Dior's Privé line a sniff. This was gorgeous. After I smelled this one, I read a bunch of reviews that described it as a fresh spring May rose, but my initial impression of this was totally different. I found it to be a spicy, woody rose. To me, this would be like the perfect rose perfume for fall. I did see someone describe this as wine-like, and I definitely agree. This feels like a rose in a vineyard. It's a beautiful perfume, and it is one that I had completely overlooked until now. I had to give a sniff to Neroli Hasbaya from Atelier Materie. This is the perfume that the lovely Karen at New Day New Scent has described as her favorite Neroli perfume, and now I get why. This is a very unique Neroli perfume. It is such an interesting take on Neroli. There is a pistachio note in this. Now, you would think that that would clash with the Neroli, but because there is also a bit of like a honeyed rose in this one as well, they all come together to create something really balanced and really unique. I saw comparisons online to Love Don't Be Shy and Memo Sintra on this one, which are like marshmallow orange blossom perfumes, but I did not get that from Neroli Hasbaya at all. Those perfumes tend to go like sickly, syrupy, cloying on me, but I did not find that Neroli Hasbaya went in that direction. I think that this feels a little bit more like the description that I read that said it feels like a rose baklava, which I definitely agree with, but with a very, very light dose of the honey and a lot more green from the neroli. It's really a fascinating perfume. I'm so happy I finally got to smell this. I would categorize this probably as like a white floral gourmand. And also, I really love when I get to smell perfumes that some of my favorite YouTube pals here have described as their favorites. So, Karen, I get it. I know why you love Neroli Has By It now. So then, while I was hanging around the Atelier Materie section, I smelled their brand new Tonka Kumaru, which I thought was really nice. It is nutty, it's hay-like, it's carby, it's all of those things plus tonka. And then there's like this roasted barley note that I thought was fabulous. It plays really nicely with the tonka and it all feels like very decadent. The only negative thing I can say is this perfume was just too strong for my personal tastes. If I were to go for a carby, powdery perfume, I would choose Santal Basmati by Affinessence instead. That one wears lighter and it's just a little friendlier to my nose in the carby, powdery perfume department. And then speaking of Affinessence, I was handed a blotter of Saffron Neroli by the sales associate, and this was an immediate no for me. In fact, my response was so obvious that she looked at me like two heads when I reacted to it. I just find saffron really, really challenging on its own, but when you put it with neroli, no ma'am. No ma'am. Hard pass on this one. Did not work for me. On the other hand, Rayflexion by Mask Milano was a lovely sniff. It is a golden, sunny floral with mimosa. There's some cardamom and beeswax. I really, really like this. It smelled like golden rays of sunshine just beaming out of the sky. So normally I do not go for hyper realistic gourmands, but when I was in Michaela Mazzetti's shop, we sampled a perfume by Jousset called Pecan Pie. One of our Italian friends we were with was not familiar with this very American style dessert, so why not give it a try in fragrance form? So my husband is a pecan pie aficionado. It is one of his favorite desserts, and I can attest that this perfume does smell exactly like a warm pecan pie. It is gooey, buttery caramel, vanilla, and of course, lots and lots and lots of nutty pecans. And this perfume was very well received by our Italian friend who was smitten with the idea of a perfume that smelled like a dessert. So his reaction alone makes this one a thumbs up for me. Seeing someone smell a hyper realistic gourmand for the first time is a real treat. So then it was time to head home. And so we got to the airport plenty early so that I could wander around duty free. So, top of the list to try For Her Musc Blanc from Narciso Rodriguez. This was great. I cannot wait for this one to hit the discounters. This is along the lines of Blanche by Byredo. It's got that clean laundry kind of scent, but it's been hit with a dose of that classic signature fluffy Narciso musk. The musk adds a creaminess to the scent, like you've just put on a thick layer of lotion after a shower, or maybe you like scrubbed yourself with Dove soap and then you wrapped yourself in a big, freshly laundered, thick white robe. Really good. I love Narciso perfumes, and so I thought this was a really nice addition to the For Her line for 2026. So Elizabeth Arden has a new green tea flanker in the line. This is a strawberry basil. I did not like this. I love the original green tea. It was Francis Kurkdjian's first big commercial hit, and I do like a lot of the flankers, but this one just kind of missed the mark for me. I love the combination of strawberry and basil. Like, put some chopped fresh strawberries and muddled basil in a glass of sparkling water in the summer, and I am happy girl. So when it comes to a perfume that features strawberry or basil, I either want the strawberry to be very, very natural smelling, or I want it to be super fake, like fake sweet and jammy. And this strawberry was neither of those things. This smelled like, do you remember those strawberry lip balms that came in the metal tins with the tops that would like slide back and forth? Very waxy, very plasticky. This almost smelled like strawberry mixed with petroleum jelly. It was weird. And then I also love a really natural basil note in a perfume. This was also not that. It was very much giving me like basil flavoring rather than basil essential oil. So Even though I'm sure this one is going to end up at the discounters at a very, very affordable price, I am very glad that I got to smell it and avoid a disappointing blind buy. So Christine Nagel has created the latest addition to the Jardin line from Hermès, and this one is Un Jardin sous la mer, a garden under the sea. So my first impression of this on the blotter was that I liked it. It smelled fresh, it smelled mineralic, and there was a bit of white floral underneath those like watery mineralic tones. However, I have read a bunch of reviews of this one that seem to say that over time and on skin, it goes very marine aquatic. Now, I didn't get that on the blotter, but based on my initial impression of this perfume, I can definitely see it turning that way. I also saw a number of people say it smells very blue shower gel. Again, I did not get that on the blotter. And my first impression, though, does not seem that it would lead my nose that way. So, my first impression of this one, fresh, watery, mineralic, slightly floral. Would I like to smell it again to see how it develops? Yes, I would. I like this line. I like Christine Nagel's work, so my nose is definitely asking for more. On the flip side, my nose is not asking for more of Mugler's Angel Blush. After the absolute wonder that is Angel Stellar, a super nutty, very close take of the original, Angel Blush is a flanker that veers way far away from the original. Like, I barely see how this fits into the line. To me, it was just missing like all of the heft and the punch of the original. The praline and the patchouli are nowhere to be found. This one is almond, musk, and sandalwood. So it's like silky, woody angel. I get what they were going for, but it misses the mark for me. Like, to me, the last perfume we need in a your skin but better format is Angel. Angel is meant to be a big, huge, giant, innovative gourmand. So again, in my fantasy life as a perfume evaluator, here is what I would have done. I would have massively amped up the ethyl maltol in this, the sweetness, and I would have amped up the almond. In fact, I would have put them in equal parts. Keep the sandalwood. I like the idea of sandalwood here instead of patchouli, but we needed a larger portion of the sandalwood in comparison to the musk. There's too much muskiness in this. Like, if the original Angel is all about the patchouli, then this Angel needs to be more about the sandalwood. And then just let the musk kind of act as a glue that holds it all together invisibly. Issey Miyake has released Lumiere d'Issey this year, and the bottle is a trip. I am totally living for this dramatic pillowcase thing. It is a perfume bottle that I think is well designed to reflect the perfume it holds. It is a bottle that catches the light, it has etched glass, and it is super sparkly. Now, here's the thing. I don't recall a lot of specifics about what I smelled in this perfume, so I think that is saying something. But I do remember thinking it smelled luminous. I looked up the notes. It's orange blossom mostly. There's some sweetness, there's some airiness here, there's some light muskiness. The notes also list pistachio wood. I'm not sure what that's supposed to smell like, but I didn't get it from my initial sniff. So this is one of those perfumes that I probably would have blind bought from a discounter just based on the notes and based on the brand. I really like Issey Miyake fragrances, but now that I have smelled this, though it was very nice to sniff, I think I have saved myself another blind buy, thank you, duty free. A perfume I often thought about blind buying but never have is the very, very affordable Jimmy Choo Illicit. Can you believe I have never smelled this before? So this one was sitting out on one of those like sad tables of forgotten, very, very deeply discounted fragrances. And honestly, I should have just bought this one. This is great. It's a sweet, spicy floral. It's mostly ginger and jasmine, and then has a really nice sweet vanillic base. Not quite Fleurmond, but almost there. So this is like my kind of perfect, easy reach. It smells fantastic. It goes with everything. It could be worn anytime. Has a great perfumer behind it. And Filippo created this one. I really, really, really like this. So if I feel the urge to buy something while my wallet is recovering from my vacation budget busting, Jimmy Choo Illicit could be the one. So there is a new Kenzo flower out. It's Le Rouge. This one was just okay. Like the original flower, that is iconic at this point. And so I am up for smelling any of the flower flankers. So this one is rose and vanilla and rice steam. All of those notes are very recognizable, but then there is this very, very heavy aroma chemical weighing it all down. On Parfumo, it's listed as a material called Amber Ever. Looked it up. It's a captive from Firmenich. And if you have watched my videos before, you'll probably guess where I'm going here. It's another one of those woody amber aroma chemicals that seems to be in everything lately. And to me, they smell tarry and burnt, and they can really ruin the delicate nature of a composition with notes that are as great as this one. And listen, I get it. I understand why. The market is calling for long-lasting, big projection perfumes. Market dictates production. Can't fault a brand for responding to demand. It's just not what I'm into. And so Le Rouge, which could have been this lovely rose vanilla with a little burst of rice steam, it ended up in the tarry aroma chemical category for me. What a bummer. Narciso Rodriguez has added Neroli Essence this year to the Les Transparence line. This line showcases musk in a series of eau de parfum intense florals. There's magnolia, there's a tuberose, there's a rose, and now the neroli. I liked this, not enough to buy a bottle. I have enough other neroli perfumes in my collection that I really like a lot better, specifically the super duper affordable Neroli Intense by Jean en Provence. I think I paid $9 for that perfume. So like when it comes to neroli, I just want it straight up, no chaser. I want it crisp, unadulterated, no accoutrements, nothing else to distract me from the wonderful green aspects of the orange flower. So, do I need a neroli with a Narciso musk? No, I don't, but I did really like smelling it. So, I mentioned in my perfume collecting video for May that I drenched myself in the new EDP of Musk Pallida from Hermes before I got on the plane. This is amazing. I cannot think of a single perfume in the Hermescence line that I have not absolutely loved. Am I right, Jill? So Christine Nagel did this one, and she has placed iris, pallida, and musk in perfect balance. The iris is soft and pillowy and cloud-like. The musk is not quite clean, but it's also not all the way dirty. This is super pricey, but it smells like it. The quality is definitely there. Like, I did not want to wash my sweatshirt when I got home. Once again, thank you, duty free. The next time I am drenched in a perfume of this quality and price point will probably be when I cross your threshold again. Okay, we're down to the last two perfumes. Two perfumes that I absolutely loved. They are both flankers of the classic L'Interdit from Givenchy. So the whole idea behind the L'Interdit line, L'Interdit means forbidden, is this like juxtaposition of light and dark. You've got white florals, dark woods. That is the essence of the L'Interdit line. So with L'Interdit Parfum, this was a 2025 release by the Dream Team, Dominique Ropion and Anne Filippo. They have introduced pear, mimosa, and some beautiful balsamic resins to the L'Interdit core of orange blossom, tuberose, jasmine, patchouli, vetiver. So what you get in the result is this unbelievably smooth, velvety, plush version of L'Interdit. I thought this was gorgeous. And I probably should not even talk about the next one since I am trying not to add more perfumes to my collection, but my gosh, the new L'Interdit Narcisse Blanc is fan-freaking-tastic. And they're saying it's limited edition, so that's bad news, bad news. I love Narcissus. I love it. To me, it smells fresh, it smells green and earthy, and also just a little bit honeyed at the same time. I especially love it when Narcissus starts to smell a little bit like old vase water. I know that sounds weird, but I love that smell. So this Launterdy introduces a frozen accord to complement the Narcissus, along with a mineral accord in the base. I so did not think I would go for this one, but I absolutely adored it. This is like a cooler, fresher take on Launterdy. I mean, like as fresh as Launterdy can be anyway. And while I did not spend extensive time with this one, I can't stop thinking about it. I want to go back to it. I want to try to find a sample. I really, really want to give this one a good wear because my initial impressions of this perfume were very, very wowy. This was a wowy perfume. Okay, well, this was supposed to be a quick overview of some of the perfumes I sniffed while I had the chance on vacation. But I guess when it comes to perfume, I do tend to get carried away because I love it so much. I hope you enjoyed hearing about some of these perfumes. Many of them are new releases. And since I am in a bit of a perfume desert, I am always so happy when I get to smell new things that are out there that have caught my eye. I would love to know if you have smelled any of these. Did you have the same reaction? Did you have a different one to what I've described? I really, really love hearing your impressions and your thoughts on perfumes that I have talked about in the comments. And thanks for watching. Thanks for spending your time here with me. I hope you have a really great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.